And we turn our attention to a subject that resonates deeply with every single Nigerian, well, who holds the nation's sporting heritage close to their hearts. The National Stadium in Surulere, yes, that one in Lagos. Once the pulsating center of Nigerian sports, is now a shadow of its former self. Built in 1972, this iconic stadium was the stage for some of Nigeria's most glorious sporting moments. But today, it stands in a state of disrepair, neglected, and almost totally forgotten.
So the question is, how did we get here? And what does this mean for the future of sports in Nigeria? Joining us today is News Central's sports editor, Tunde Koiki, who had just completed a special report on the shocking decline and state of the National Stadium, Surulere. And he's here to shed light on the factors that led to this tragic downfall, the impact on our athletes, and the potential for revival. Tunde, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We saw the report, 5 minutes expose, going into the stadium and seeing how dilapidated, decimated a once national pride has become national disgrace.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it, national disgrace. A stadium that was a multi-million-dollar edifice that was built, supposed to be the pride of a nation, is now completely collapsed, decrepit, and totally abandoned. It's in a shocking state of disrepair. If you did watch that report, there was a part where I showed the discoloration between on the wall, showing just how high the tunnel used to be flooded.
Yes.
And 10 years ago, when I went there, the tunnel was flooded head high. You would need scuba divers to get to the dressing rooms. That was how deep the water was. And nothing has really changed. It's in actually worse state of repair.
Tina, that was very interesting because in my mind, I'm like, I've never seen flooding around that area, you know, around the stadium axis, close to Joel Agba and Castaigne, the other end. So how did water, sorry, this is me and my brain and asking why, but how did water get in there all the way to that level that it was almost at your waist length?
Just shows you the poor state of, the poor state it's in. The drains are completely blocked. Water doesn't find its level as it's supposed to. Water doesn't drain as it's supposed to. So which means that a lot of issues, whether electrical, plumbing, don't even talk about electrical. The stadium itself was disconnected from the national grid years ago. So if you need to do anything at the stadium, you need to bring your own power generating set. All the seats are gone, the roof is gone, everything has completely collapsed.
Let me help you there. Judith, regarding that, now the stadium is built in such a way that there are underground sections, actually, and it's not supposed to let water in the first place. How water gets in, however, beats me. But if water can get in, you suppose that there should be a way to get it out, but there's no way. There's no light to even pump the water, like Koiki has just said. However, my question now is regarding the use of the stadium. Is there nothing happening there? Because if there's nothing happening at the stadium, then you could think maybe that's why it's in a state of disrepair. There's no activity. For many years, perhaps, maybe there has been no activity and there's no need to keep it in a good state, no need to repair it anyway. So let's just let the roller skaters and bikers just play around the periphery and, you know, nothing happens here. Could that be why it's in that state?
No, that's not why it's not in that state. It's in that state because it has been completely neglected and abandoned. Monies are always allocated to the repair and upkeep and refurbishment of stadiums. There's a there's a subsection of the Ministry of Sports Development that has to do with stadium development and maintenance. So they do get money to take care of these stadiums. The honest truth is that activities do go there, or do go on in the stadium. When I went there on that day I did the report, there was actually a football competition going on. It was a private competition, and they had paid for the use of that stadium. Who they paid to, I don't know. How much they paid, they refused to disclose. But someone was collecting money for the use of that stadium. That's fine by me. But the question is, what do they do with this money? And is the service that's being rendered, is it commensurate to the state of the stadium? It's in a shocking state of disrepair. There were virtual forests growing in the stands. You know, it's that bad. Don't even talk about the toilets. Don't even ask me about the toilets.
You said it was neglected and it wasn't a case of it not being in use, but a total neglect. Besides that factor, what other thing do you think contributed to the total decimation of a national edifice like that?
The honest truth is that we have a shocking understanding of what it takes to build and maintain public facilities. We do not understand how it is done. And this is simply not a Lagos thing. Even the Abuja National Stadium, which I included
you
in
highlight
that report,
that in the report.
That stadium has not passed a FIFA, a CAF test for the use of that stadium in 2 years. The state of the track would never be used. It can never be used for any domestic or international competition.
So
and it's basically going the same with the national stadium.
Train, then?
Well, there are a few stadiums around Nigeria, very few, very, very few that are well maintained, like the one in Uyo. That is because the state government has an ongoing contract with an international construction company for annual maintenance. Now, some people say that these stadiums should be concessioned out to private entities for them to maintain. But I dare say there are some stadiums in this country that are maintained by state governments and are still in a good state of repair. One of them is the Samuel Ogbomudia Stadium in Benin, which is managed, I think the current chairman of the Edo State Sports Commission is the former Olympian, Yusuf Ali. That stadium is one of the neatest I've ever seen. If you drop a piece of paper on the floor, within 2 minutes it's swept up. It is cleaned at least 5 times a day. The pitch is in excellent condition.
Is it in use? How much use?
It is still in use. It is still in use.
How much use?
It is used virtually every week because it is the home ground of Bendel Insurance Football Club.
So there is where, do you see, that's where I was going regarding that first question I asked you. How much activities goes on in there? I mean, our sports generally, if you take a look at our sports, athletes, Judith, they don't train at the stadium. They train on top of, what's that bridge? The one next to the National Stadium, National Theatre.
Echo Bridge?
No, Orele Bridge.
They
I see boxes
bridge,
there.
yeah.
I see athletes running back and forth. They don't use these facilities.
That's the thing, man. So they can't use them because they are not in a good state of repair.
So which comes first, chicken or the egg?
You have to fix these facilities before they can be used.
That's a silly question, actually.
That's the honest truth.
No,
you have to fix these stadiums, these facilities before. I mean, Nigeria went to the Olympic Games, came back just a few weeks ago without so much as a plastic mug.
Yes.
Or a toothpick. That is shocking for a nation of over 200 million strong athletic people. And nobody has been called to account.
Diaspora Nigerians or individuals of Nigerian descent who went to the Olympics, competed under a different country, and won medals for this country.
The honest truth is that stadium needs to be fixed. Really needs to be fixed.
What would it take to fix it? What would it take to restore the glory and bring it to its past glory?
Interestingly, the former Minister of Sports Development, Sunday Dari, said that this stadium would need 21 billion naira to fix.
Yeah,
that is a drop of water. That is basically $13 million. To refurbish the Felix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium that was used in Côte d'Ivoire for the last AFCON, it took 84.4 million euros. And that's a stadium that was in a really good state of repair.
Already.
To fix this one, you would need nothing less than $200 or $250 million.
Can we afford that as a nation?
We can't, because we have other pressing national issues.
So what does that say about the stadium? What does that say about sports itself? Because, like you said, we've seen
what does that even
results.
say about the budget that is being channeled into sports for sports development and maintenance?
It is not enough.
How much has been budgeted every year?
Well, I'm sure if you can use the Freedom of Information bill, if you can test it, they might give it to you. But I do know that the last Olympic Games and Paralympic Games, they budgeted a total of 12 billion naira. Now, 9 billion for the Olympians, 3 billion for the Paralympians.
That's unfair. They have more medals than the Olympians.
And well, to be honest, that's even a drop of water. $9 billion naira is $5 million. People are spending. South Africa spent $40 million just to send their team to the Olympics, and we're spending $5 million to send a team Nigeria. We don't spend nearly enough on sports development. We don't spend nearly enough on facility development. We don't spend nearly enough on anything. So the question is, where does the money go to? The honest truth is, we do not understand the place of sports in developing, remolding, reshaping, re-engineering any society.
And why is that? Is it because we don't see it as priority or important?
Look, it's a mental thing. So when you say they are playing a game, as far as they're concerned, it's play. Yeah. It's nothing serious.
But they don't think of the economic value,
they do not.
The ancillary activities that go around.
They do not. That stadium is probably one of the best sited stadiums anywhere in this world. It is equidistant between the island and the mainland, probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes away from the international airport. A wide range of facilities, well served by public utilities, public transportation networks, and so on. And I'm talking about the main bowl itself. You should see the indoor sports hall as well. You see, they are doing UFC events all across the world. that place can never host a UFC event. You are seeing Basketball League Africa and NBA Africa programs. That place will never host that kind of event. Why? Because it is in a shocking state of repair.
You paint a very bad picture, and if you're telling me...
It's worse, trust me.
All I'm simply going to say is just pull the plug. But we can't do that as a nation. So what do we do? What suggestions do you have for the sports ministry, the government, in fact?
Well, it's a case of priorities. Then also finding those who are really willing to invest in sports as they should. I do believe a philanthropist, Sakes Nabudebo, took it upon himself to refurbish that stadium a few years ago. He did his best. I mean, surprisingly, the only good thing about that stadium, the edifice, is the track, the tartan track. It's relatively brand new. But in contrast to everything else, from the lighting, I mean, one of the floodlights collapsed last year. Thankfully, it didn't kill anyone, but it just shows you just how bad it is. How many times have you heard of a floodlight collapsing anywhere in the world? It doesn't happen because everybody maintains it. So in order for the remaining 3 not to collapse, he removed the remaining 3. The tartan track is the only thing that is working. He also fixed the pitch as well, but this pitch is now back into a total shambolic state of repair. And when you stand there and look at it, this is the venue of the final of the 1980 Africa Cup of Nations, which Nigeria won. This is the venue of the 2000 Africa Cup of Nations, where Nigeria lost to Cameroon. This is the venue of the final of the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in 1999. This is the venue of countless major sporting moments for Nigeria. Historical moments, FA Cup finals, athletics events, and it's been left to rot. It simply goes to what we said. The labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain. You look at the National Stadium, they've not let it be in vain. They've actually pretty much tossed it out the window.
I hate to break it to you, but we changed the national anthem.
I don't know why it's Nigeria healthy, and it's so perfect for this.
But something happened with the National Theatre recently. The
I was going to say that.
Came in and they refurbished it. It's in a very good state. Do you suggest that for the National Stadium, or maybe even privatization?
Absolutely.
Or PPP?
PPP, public-private partnership. Would that work?
That would work, because...
And as you're saying this, let me remind you of Dangote and NNPCL and their divestiture of how many % of their investments.
True.
So as we're saying PPP, and we're saying that we want a public-private partnership, and hopefully it will work, will the government sit back and let it come to fruition?
No, it won't. The honest truth is they have tried many times to either sell the National Stadium or concession it. It has always been shrouded in controversy or secrecy. For some reason, some people alive don't want the stadium to be resuscitated. And it's simple. It goes back to, I think, a Swahili proverb that when something dies on the savannah, that is when you see eaters of carrion. That's when you see hyenas, you see vultures, you see different, because they feed fat on those kind of states of disrepair. And the way this National Stadium is now, a lot of people are profiting off the existence of that disrepair, which is surprising. Because they could earn 10 times more.
You're acting like you're not in
10
Nigeria,
times more
like
if the stadium was actually...
Well, I must say this, your use of oxymoron is just fantastic. He said he found forests around the sitting area of the stadium. And the scuba dive. And then you can find crocodiles. But you can find the report, a special report on the National Stadium, Surulere, on YouTube. It's a 5 minutes long expose, and you can see the burials there on your screen. Go watch it. Tunde did a fantastic job in profiling that monumental edifice that is supposed to be part of our...
Thank you very much, Tunde. And yes, I have started gymming now, so we'll be competing very soon. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.